The comparisons of the Democratic Party to Japanese kamikaze missions is a political metaphor primarily used by President Donald Trump and some conservative commentators to characterize the actions of Democrats as reckless, self destructive, or willing to cause widespread harm to the country to achieve their political goals. Welcome to the Trumped Up Live Show. I'm your host, Tiny Cross-H.U.G. Always remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments so that we can have a better discourse with regards to a wide range of topics. And always remember one thing as well. On this show, we all about trying to determine what type of soldier that you would like to be. You know, it's all about what you want to be. It's all about what you put your merits in and your goals and aspirations into, which would allow you to achieve those. So on the show, we always got a little phrase that we like to go into that says basically, it's a good day to be a soldier. Now, speaking with regards to that, man, I feel like that it will be a good take for us to go into exactly and remember what a kamikaze mission is, right? So let's take a look at what a the Japanese kamikaze missions was primarily all about. Real quick, let's go over here.
April 6th dawns quiet in the waters off Okinawa. The calm did not comfort Ensign Doug Aitken.
Let me pause it right quick and give y'all more details because this is the reason why I go into this, right? The reason why I go into this, right, is because when you think about the whole aspect of sanctuary cities, the sanctuary city policies were to protect, and California was the first sanctuary state back in 2017. Governor Jerry Brown for the state of California enacted Senate Bill number 54. This Senate Bill number 54, the impact that this Senate bill was expected to have was that it was to protect the illegal immigrant or the immigrant from the fear of deportation if they were to report them being the victim of a crime. So pretty much at that time, what you had a lot going on at the moment, people probably don't remember, particularly in the city of Los Angeles, is what you had going on is you had these people being victimized by their own people with regards to street gangs. So say, for instance, if an individual would set up a food stand, street swap meet, and or some brick and mortar stores, right? What you had individuals doing that were in these gangs, surrounding gangs of that business, you had them individuals, taxing those businesses, and the immigrant population would not report the crime just based on the fear of deportation. So Governor Jerry Brown, he enacted Senate Bill 54, and California, like I said, became the first sanctuary state. In today's times, before we get into this video, right, because we got to remember what the kamikaze mission is, right? In today's times, what we see is the Democrats are causing a lot of uproar with regards to ICE being able to return the individuals who they allowed into the country, primarily under Joe Biden, when they are actually the radical individuals who allow these individuals to come over here across the border from whatever country. And when the laws had already been in place for years, well before Donald Trump had taken office with regards to things like unlawful entry. But yet instead they want to attack ICE for implementing the laws that had been already here in the first place. And this is the reason why primarily with regards to immigration, there is no more of a threat to the Democratic Party than the immigration population. Then you're taking away the immigration population. But with that thought in mind, let's first remember what a kamikaze mission is.
We knew that we were going to be in for trouble. We just knew it.
On the nearby islands, the Japanese had been gathering every usable plane and pilot remaining in their arsenal. Some are inexperienced, but no less devoted. They call this mission Kikusui, or Floating Chrysanthemum. They take off in waves. They begin a kamikaze spree that dwarfs anything before or since. In the next 2 days, over 350 enemy planes wreak absolute havoc. American pilots try to stop them in roller coaster dogfights. Navy gunners try to derail them in white-knuckle high-speed combat, sometimes close enough to see each other's faces. General Buckner, an avid hunter, describes the adrenaline rush to his wife.
I have had thrills in duck lines, but none comparable to that of seeing an enemy plane shot down when it was heading directly at our ship.
Some are cut down. Others get through. For sailors like Doug Aitken, the horror is burned into memory.
And all of a sudden, general quarters, all hands man your battle stations. First of all, power went out. So we opened the doors and we could see all this commotion and all this smoke.
Japan intentionally crashes 1,900 planes in suicide dives around Okinawa, the most intense kamikaze attacks of the entire Pacific campaign. They sink 26 ships and damage 164 more. The Japanese consider it noble sacrifice. The Americans consider it inhumane warfare.
You can't identify people. The right thing to do is bury at sea.
It is the greatest concentration of Navy losses since Pearl Harbor.
That's a frightening take of the kamikaze missions, right? And under the Japanese soldiers, with regards to how they decided to destroy not only 1,900 planes, but 1,900 people's lives that were, you know, piloting them planes, who were the drivers of them planes, basically, right? It's a sad moment in history, right? Because when you look at the Democratic Party and you realize how much that the Democratic Party, that they are particularly all about party, they're not about the country. The Democratic Party is all about party. They're not about the country. The Republican Party has always been a party with regards to law and order. So when you look at the whole perspective of how they've been so radical, even with their own laws right now, right? How they've been so radical against the laws that have already been implemented into this country, such as the unlawful entry laws with the federal laws. And then they turn around and they tell these same people to go ahead and turn on ICE. That's why I compare this situation right now with the Democratic Party as close to being to a civil war, because they trying to keep control of the people who they allow to come over here into this country. And they're double dipping into the system. a system in which there are, first of all, they receiving dollars for federal funding in order to give these people some economic stability in this country in terms of the social welfare system, which the Democratic Party is predominantly known for. But also, when these people go to work, they get an EIN number, and they tax these individuals, and the states are receiving tax dollars on top of receiving federal dollars for bringing these individuals in to this country. What they didn't expect was to turn out to be with Donald Trump when it comes to giving these people so much, these individuals so much that these individuals have pretty much turned on them in the election. But we have, in this course, we have a way to get these people back by telling them to hold on, no, don't allow them to deport you. The crazy part about it is that so many. Let me get back to the sanctuary city policies, right? The sanctuary state policies, because, like I said, the sanctuary state policies were enacted to protect the immigrant population from being victims and allowing them to report crimes without fear of deportation. That doesn't negate from the fact that you came over here illegally in the first place. Okay, there's a separation between immigrant and illegal immigrant. If don't have the legal right to be in this country, if you don't have the legal right to be in this country, here you are, you have broken the law, and that is federal policy that has been within this country before Donald Trump, policy that gives you the immigration acts since 1965. Even though they were here well before that as well. So how is it that in order to save their party, they are willing to go all in with the illegal immigrant to defend the illegal immigrant over the citizenry that has already been in this nation? And I don't get that. And that has to be talked about, because what is happening is the Democratic Party are absolutely radical in the nature of how they're going about this whole process of sanctuary state. Mind you that the law has been enacted, such as unlawful entry, well before Joe Biden or well before Donald Trump. So if you have unlawfully entered this country, you don't have a right to be here, and you're supposed to be subjected to immediate deportation, and that's under the law. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have a right to. I don't understand. That's immediate deportation. So I don't know how far into it in regards to due process that you have. But what you have is you have the Democratic Party, a state such as California, being exactly to these these unlawful people who have entered this country, these people who have unlawfully entered this country. You have them being exactly the opposite of what they were trying to protect these people against. When you are taxing these people, you're doing exactly what the street element was doing to them. The underground element was doing to them by taxing them and telling them, basically, in the same sense, if through your tax dollars, what we're going to do, we're going to prevent you from being deported back home. Mind you as well that the whole reason why Joe Biden allowed so many people to come over here is because we were dealing with COVID-19 at the moment. At the time, we were just coming out of COVID-19, And the United States citizens said, we don't want to be subjected to an economy that leaves us in a point to where we lose our job, we lose everything we have because we have become so dependent on jobs. We want to be able to take full advantage of the opportunity to, create success for ourselves without having to depend on on an employer. We want to sustain ourselves a lot more better than that because the economy has taught us that we have to do better than just working a regular 9 to 5. So what you had after the COVID-19 crisis, what you had was a lot of people not wanting to be a part of the workforce because either they were trying to elevate from the prior job that in which they had, or they wanted to create their own businesses. And so Joe Biden said, okay, well, if we can't get people to go back into the workforce, what we're going to do, we're going to allow a lot of immigration back into, we're going to allow a lot of immigration in to fill those vacant spots in order to re-accelerate the economy. Never mind the policies that are put in place. We're going to give them what their needs. So what can end up happening is they can fill those jobs and we can reboost the economy. So on an economic standpoint, I look like that I am doing my job. Never mind the fact that I'm gonna be here one term. Allow all these people to 20 million people on average of 4 million people every year is coming over here under the Biden term. And you kind of think about why so many people are like, man, they over here taking up all our jobs. They over here taking up all our jobs. Where this is exactly what they were meant to do. If you do your research and study, they were meant to replace you in as part of the workforce, because at the time you wanted to absolutely search for better after you had gotten fired from your last job, who left you hanging after the COVID-19 crisis, during the COVID-19 crisis, because the Democratic Party shut down the government in the first place. And now they're here trying to spark basically what I like to call another civil war with regards to protecting the illegal immigrants. Now, I feel, I hope that the immigrant population can understand that they were just some people that were supposed to be used in this nation just to fill a gap in the economy at the time, and a gap that became overwhelming, so much so that individuals ended up voting for Trump. And that's the reality of the situation. But now they're trying to control you. They're literally on a kamikaze mission to save the face of the party. They're literally on a kamikaze mission to save the face of the party. Look what just happened with the government shutdown. In order to save funding for the illegal immigrants, they were willing to shut the party. I mean, they were willing to shut the government down for how many days? It was well over a month. So it was over a month though, right? I don't remember at the moment, but I know it was over a month. And this is something that they was doing back in 2019 during Trump's first term. They shut down the government. This back in 2019, Trump said that the Democratic Party was on a kamikaze mission in order to save the face of the party. This is why I respect the Republican Party. And we've always got the connotation that the Republican Party was a bad party with regards to its whole ideology of law and order. But when it comes to this immigration problem that we've had in this country in most recent years, we can understand how the laws that necessarily have to be followed are so important. Because here we're trying to get these individuals out, and sanctuary states are not even going with regards to their own policies. And the impact that sanctuary states and cities were supposed to be about. Instead, they would rather go against the federal government in order to say, party, we put so much money into these people. Not only have we put so much money into these people, we're using them. And we know that the money that we've been given to them, we have the ability to draw up a new voter base. We don't give the money to black people no more. We give it to them, and not to necessarily say a race, because I'm trying to help you identify the ideologies of the party. And if we keep them dependent on us, if we be the ones that's out here fighting for them, if we act like we're fighting for them, but we're sending them on this kamikaze mission out there, and we on a kamikaze mission ourselves. But we got these individuals to go out here and do it for us in order to prevent law and order from taking place. We have the control of these people, and they don't even know it. We're sparking up all these, protests, which end up turning violent. And then, there's a law in California right now that says that they just got a ruling in California that says that the Los Angeles PD, Los Angeles Police Department, are not allowed to use non-lethal weapons during protests. How these people are supposed to defend themselves? How they're supposed to stop a protest? And you wondering why Donald Trump, in places like Minneapolis, has to invoke the Insurrection Act. It's going to happen, and it's being sparked by Democrats. So when you think about the Democratic Party, you need to do something right now. You need to think about they don't care about you. They don't care about this country. They're willing to do everything for party, while the Republicans are pretty much putting the country back in order. And the cold thing about it is that the Democratic Party admit that what Joe Biden was doing with regards to allowing all these immigrant populations to come over here across the border was wrong, and that they needed to be better about it. Governor Jerry Brown has already admitted to this, but yet still will defend these people when being over here. Now, I feel sorry for those immigrant populations that came over here because, like I said, you got used by a party in order to assert its political agendas. And its political agendas at the time was to fill the gap and to fill the void that was in the economy because of what the Democratic Party did in the first place when shutting the government down. People didn't want to get back into the workforce. And if they did want to get back into the workforce, they didn't want to get back into the workforce in the same way, to where they were doing the same thing. They wanted to look for better. They wanted to look for more security in the economy, besides having to work a regular 9 to 5 and be in a regular 9 to 5 and be subjected to, if the economy does shut down again, the way it did during the COVID, they wouldn't have to feel the same hurt. So like I said, they decided, okay, well then we're going to allow a bunch of immigration to happen to fill the gap. And they won't admit to it. They would rather not allow Donald Trump to get the win. Even though they admitted their wrongs, they would not rather see Donald Trump not get the win. They would rather tell you to go out there for the immigrant population to risk your life and for something that they know was wrong. It's incredible how far that the system has fallen in order for the Democratic Party just to have a win for party and not country. So if you want to blame somebody for ICE, blame the Democratic Party. If you want to blame somebody for ICE going out here and going into your neighborhoods when they're not allowing them to go into the system to go find people who's not supposed to be in this country, blame the Democratic Party. Stop blaming Trump. It's not Trump's fault. Democrats use the illegal immigrants. And it's time that we as a nation, we need to come to grips with that and to stop allowing the Democratic Party to roar us up like we are supposed to be working for them. No, it's supposed to be the opposite. They're supposed to be a party for the people, and they're not. Tiny Cross-H.U.G on the Trumped Up Live Show. Always remember, like, subscribe, and share the channel. Leave your comments. Let's talk it over. Tell me what you think. Or has the Democratic Party, particularly in a state like the state of California, abused its sanctuary city policies? Had they become the opposite to the illegal immigrant in preventing them from being victimized, pretty much infringing on their own sanctuary city policies and are harboring criminals themselves in order to collect those tax dollars from them and federal funding on top of that? If you will look and see, I think that you will find that they are not protecting these individuals from being victimized. They are victimizing these individuals themselves. So let's talk about it. Tiny Cross-H.U.G on the Trumped Up Live Show. I'm out.